Hello, hey. I think they put me on stream already. So welcome. Yeah. All right. So this was awkward. I apologize. Hey, welcome everybody to the July Baton Rouge.net user group meeting. My name is Brian McCoy. I will be your host tonight. With me, I have Jeremy Knight and Jeremy Cronin and our very special guest, and we will get to her in a minute. So let's see. First thing first. For those of you who don't know, we are the Baton Rouge.net user group. We work in tandem with the Baton Rouge SQL Server and Baton Rouge BI user groups under the Baton Rouge user group organization. We also have done things in the past, like ran things like SQL Saturday. So if you're interested in those kind of things, be sure to follow us. We've actually started, brings me to my first topic, we actually started meeting, and some of the groups are actually kind of interested in going back in-person streams or in-person meetings. I know our user base has now kind of expanded, and we will have brought in more people from probably outside the Baton Rouge area. So if you're one of those people, let us know. We do not want to move forward and not include you. So I would, if you could touch base or just drop something in chat that lets us know, hey, I'm not from the Baton Rouge area, or where you're from, just so we can get an idea of where our base is. I'd really appreciate it. So let's see, what else do we have? Jeremy Knight has been very gracious and set up some Twitch commands for us. I believe there's one for our Discord link. There's one for our YouTube channel. So if anybody wants to fire those off, Jeremy, go for it. That way you can get up to speed with us and all the things that we are currently doing. Discord is a really good way to stay in touch. You can also follow us on Twitter at, at BRN or BRDNUG on Twitter. We also have a meetup page. We'll drop links for all of that in the chat. We announce our monthly meetings there. So you will find us here the second Wednesday of every month at 5:30. I do believe the SQL Server user group will be meeting next Wednesday at 5:30 as well. We are trying to get them more involved in the streams. So hopefully we can actually share their stuff a little bit more. Right now, they use our Teams account to meet. So if you follow our meetup page, you can get all the information you need for that there. So as tonight goes, please utilize the Twitch chat or Discord chat. I believe there's a channel for the stream. I will relay all the questions you have to our speaker, so that way we can get your questions answered. So please feel free to use the chat in order to do that. I think we're getting close to about all I have. The one last thing is, I know some people have asked about the Sunday shorts. For those of you who don't know, it's just a fun Sunday morning stream that we do about every other Sunday at 9 a.m. on this channel. It's usually me, or what we try to do is bring a guest on that's from the Baton Rouge area, so they can share a project that they're working on or just something cool that they're doing. It's a little bit more low key and relaxed. It's not one of our bigger streams that we publish, but you can find all of that on our YouTube channel. Every meeting we have, everything that we do on this channel, we do publish out to YouTube, so you can find all of our content there. Let's see. Yeah, I know where Lahoma is from. So I'm glad you got your power back on. Let's see, what else do we have? I think that's about it. I guess without further ado, I will be more than happy to introduce our speaker for tonight, Maddy Leger.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm in Boston, so it's just awesome. Getting to the end of the day. I'm very excited for this. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. We really enjoy having really special and important people on that have some control over the tools that we use in our day-to-day life. So for those of you who don't know Maddy, why don't you share a little bit about yourself with us?
Yeah, nice to meet you all. I'm also in the Twitch chat. I'll pop a hi in there too, so you can have my Twitch handle. All my windows are open. But I am a program manager on the Xamarin / .NET MAUI team. We're kind of in a dual identity right now. It's a good time, but my focus has really been on developer productivity for most of my 3 years that I've been on the team. So yeah, I work on things like Heart Reload, if you've used that, if you're a Xamarin developer now, and things that make your life easier inside of Visual Studio. But my role has really kind of expanded with this whole .NET MAUI stuff, because we're all kind of doing a bit of everything now. So it's very fun. And I'll just put hi in the chat. There you go. So now you can see me. And yeah, thank you all for joining and coming out and listening to me ramble for a little bit. Hopefully you find something valuable from this.
Sounds good. I know I am. I actually have some questions queued up, but I will let you actually start talking. Hopefully, maybe you'll answer some of them before we get there.
Sweet.
Without further ado, I say we can go ahead and bring your.
Perfect. Let's do it. Great. So I was saying right before we went live, so today is a big day because a bunch of stuff shipped this morning. So this is my lovely colleague Tim Hewer's tweet, and I'll post this in the chat as well. Actually, I don't know if I can post links, so I'll put it in the private chat, and the hosts can, you guys can do your magic. But he rounded up all the blogs. So I will be showing and walking through these in a little bit. If you are someone who is like familiar with Xamarin and .NET MAUI and kind of has the TLDR on what those things are, you can feel free to ignore me for a few minutes and go scroll through these. Because what I first want to do is kind of do an introduction to what MAUI is, what .NET MAUI is, and like why it's something that you should care about, especially if you're already a .NET developer. And let me put this in presentation mode from current slide. So hopefully if you've joined any of the talks in the past 6 months to a year that the .NET team has given, you've seen something like this slide, because .NET is really trying to not rebrand, but kind of grow their scope from just being ASP.NET and Windows to all of these things, including, of course, mobile with Xamarin and now .NET MAUI, your cloud development and all that stuff, gaming, IoT, AI, and all that. So .NET MAUI is really kind of the cornerstone of .NET. They put mobile in the center for a reason. That's what I like to say, even though I'm sure it was just because it was a nice symmetrical picture. But I like to say it's because .NET MAUI is like the center of .NET. And even though our focus is on mobile, really the goal with .NET MAUI is that you'll be able to use it to build your UI for anything. And so MAUI stands for Multi-Platform App UI. So it's not just .NET in Hawaii, although that would be amazing, but it's multi-platform app UI. And the goal of .NET MAUI is really to make it so that you can write one chunk of code and run that code on any platform that .NET targets. So of course it's shipping GA this fall in November with .NET 6, and I have a slide with more details about that. So it's not out quite yet. It's like this kind of new thing, but it is built and heavily based on what we learned from the Xamarin technology. So Xamarin came over when Mono, which was the open source .NET runtime before .NET was open source, they said, hey, we should get .NET to run on something other than desktop and Windows and web, right? That'd be cool. And there's Mono Touch, and there's a whole story. And if you Google Miguel de Icaza, you'll see all about Mono and Xamarin. But really the things with Xamarin that made it really impactful in kind of the .NET space were that it was native, right? It wasn't some wrapper that you're running your app in. It wasn't something that was like interpreted and bytecode. It was really just the native app. So when you had your C# that you wrote for your Android app, it made an APK, which is the file that Android phones expect. And for Apple, it was a .app, and now it's a .ipa, whatever the right thing, and it runs natively. It on Android, it'll run just in time. On iOS, it runs ahead of time. And then because we have .NET and this whole .NET stack that we're working within, we have been able to kind of improve upon what the native platforms do. Like for Android, for example, we've made it so that you can also run ahead of time if you want to, because you might get performance gains that way, depending on your app. But it's still to the phone, just a native application. And it uses under the hood the native APIs. So things like when you write in your Xamarin Forms, which is the cross-platform, the existing cross-platform UI framework for mobile right now that is part of .NET. When you want to open the browser, open a URL from your app and launch it in the system's browser, or use biometric verification, like a fingerprint or Face ID. It's just one API you can call. You just say whatever check battery life, all those things. And Xamarin and .NET takes that call and translates it under the hood to the proper native API for that device. And of course, you can do anything that you could do in Android and iOS with C# with Xamarin, because you can just call that native API from C#. We just bind it in. So say that we don't have a shared version of something specific you want to do. You can just, go into the Android specific C# code and write, okay, do this specific call and use the Android API as appropriate for that. So it's really powerful because we don't kind of pigeonhole you into, what we have chosen to expose. You can kind of go, choose your own adventure a little bit and do anything you really want with that. And on the flip side of device APIs, we also have the native UI stacks. So under the hood, even though in XAML and Xamarin Forms, you might write something like button color equals purple. What that does is under the hood, it goes to the iOS button, the UI kit button, and the Android button widget or whatever. And it uses their system font and their system default color and everything. So you can see like a good example here is the search bar here. So the UI search bar for iOS has got this background. It's got some shading. It's got all this stuff. The Android one is just an underline, similar thing that says search. They both have this icon, but the iOS system icon for a magnifier is different than the Android and blah, 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 blah. So we use the native controls under the hood. And what that means is that, yeah, maybe without any customizations, your apps might look a little bit different by default, but your customers are always going to have the latest UI stacks. So my favorite example of this is if you think about the iPhone settings page in 2008 when it came out, it had like a pinstripe background and everything was like really bubbly and kind of ugly now when you look at it, but it was like so cool in 2008. Like it was like the coolest thing in the world. And everyone was like, wow, future. And now you look at the iOS settings page and it's just like plain text and it's all white. And they're just starting to get back into buttons that look like buttons instead of buttons that look like hyperlinks. And that's, 13 years of UI design. With Xamarin and with .NET and with .NET MAUI in the future, you get all of those kind of design changes that the operating system makes for free because you're just using the operating system's controls under the hood. Of course, you can customize on top of that, right? So if you want your apps to look the exact same on both platforms because you have a defined brand or you have an amazing designer and they handed you something from Figma and it was like, make it look like this, that's what I want. You can do that too. But for people like me who are design challenged, it's great because it's going to look like an iOS app if I want it to. And so all these three things, this native performance, native UI, and native APIs and functionality and all that is something that we've had in Xamarin and that we are rolling into .NET MAUI, .NET multi-platform app UI. And so Xamarin, I've kind of been talking specifically about mobile. Xamarin has supported UWP, but the reason it supported UWP was for this thing called the Windows Phone that we don't see so much of anymore. So really the UWP support has kind of been like secondary to the mobile support. But with .NET MAUI, the whole thing is we're bringing it to desktop and mobile. We want it to be this single place where you can write code for iOS, Android, Windows using WinUI, which is also shipping this fall, and Mac using their new Catalyst architecture, which is their I'm sure Mac fans would hate this, but it's kind of like their UWP equivalent. Like it's like one app that can run on iOS and iPad and on Mac instead of their old Mac AppKit version. But it's using the same technology that Xamarin's used. So it is this tried and true, like very stable, enterprise-worthy technology, but we're kind of bringing it into the modern era, and we're doing a couple things to the underlying platform to bring it to the proper .NET 6 base class library and all of that instead of running separately on Mono. So it's going to be more interchangeable than it ever has been before with existing .NET code and projects and NuGets and all that. There are a whole lot of features going into MAUI. The one that's on this slide that I like to call out that we'll look at in the demo, I think I'm only going to do one of the two because I want to get to the stuff that shipped today, is the single project system and single code base. So if you are an existing Xamarin developer, and I don't know how many of you in the chat are, if you are, you probably know that you have a .NET Standard project with your shared code, and then your Android project, and then your iOS project, and all those things kind of, you have to maintain different copies of your images and all that. The real perk for .NET MAUI for existing Xamarin developers is that we have the ability to mush all of those into one single project. So you just have to put in one image, and you just have to put in one version of your font files, and you only have to register it in one place instead of 3, and you only have to initialize things in one place. So I like to call that one out specifically, because for new to .NET Mobile developers, I think that's more along the lines of what you'd expect when you come from something like ASP.NET or Windows. But I know for sure our mobile friends are very excited about it. And so, yeah, so that's .NET MAUI. It's really about being productive and performant with native apps that you're writing from this single code base. And this is the demo that we had at, I believe, Build. Oh, yeah. The top right says Hello Build. So it must be Build. And yeah, it's just it's one code base. It's XAML UI. And you can write your UI in C# if you'd rather. And it's got a button counter and the things that you'd expect to do with an app. But it's just one code base, and it's running on all these different platforms. Yeah. And so, like I said at the beginning, it's part of .NET 6. It's shipping in November. It's got command line support because it's part of the .NET stack, so you can do your .NET command line tooling. But of course, it'll be built into Visual Studio as well. It's going to have your templates. You probably have heard of this little thing called Visual Studio 2022 that is coming out around the same time as .NET 6 this fall. So really the best place to develop .NET 6 applications is going to be VS 2022. The reason for that is because it's hard for us to retrofit our things that we're building into 64-bit Visual Studio 2022 back into 2019, when 2022 is what's going moving forward. And like I said, it's part of the base class library. So the .NET 6 base class library. So you could really integrate your apps very seamlessly with other .NET platforms and architectures. For example, like if you need to pull in a NuGet package that you couldn't use with Xamarin before because it was .NET Standard and your NuGet package was Framework 472 or whatever, as long as it's all targeting .NET 6, it doesn't matter. It's all going to get along. And that's pretty exciting. And I think it's going to make it the .NET story a lot easier for folks to understand. And since you're all .NET developers, you probably have to explain to your new hires or people who are like, what is this .NET thing? And why is it different than C#? And what is ASP? All those questions, we're just trying to simplify. One thing, if you are a Blazor/web developer that you'll be really excited about with MAUI, we've heard from Blazor developers over and over that they want a way to take their Blazor apps and run it locally on the desktop for a couple reasons. One of the ones that I hear the most often is offline support or native device support. So you think about like being able to pop open like files or saves to the disk or blah, 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 things that you don't want to go through the browser to do, open up specific programs or all that. Blazor hybrid desktop apps is what we're calling it. Also .NET MAUI Blazor. It's not the best names in the world, but it's okay because it's kind of makes sense. The idea is that you will just stick your Blazor app into a blank .NET MAUI app, and then that's it. You have Blazor running on desktop using WebView 2. And then you can build MAUI around that Blazor app. You can continue to build that, into your Blazor app and expand that. You can, your state, it's one state across the whole application. So if you have a button written in the MAUI code that, is updating a field that you have in the Blazor code, like those things all stay in sync. So if you are a developer that's, targeting the web now and has a need for desktop at any point, this is going to be really cool. And the demos that have been coming out of this have been really fun. If you are a Blazor dev, you probably know of Daniel Roth, and he's given a few demos of those. So you can find him on the internets or whatever and look into those. And like I said, like this is all based on Xamarin. So if you're not a Xamarin developer, Xamarin's used all over the place. It really is like secretly running most of the world without us knowing it. Like I know one that's not on this slide, you can go through and kind of see some of the companies that use it right now. One of the ones that's not on this slide that's given talks about how Xamarin has helped them before is Delta. Like they use Xamarin for their internal processes. Like when they check the plane before it takes off, it's like a Xamarin app that they're using. So if you fly Delta, you can thank Xamarin for making sure that your plane is safe and ready to roll. Things like that. And a bunch of customers. There's also a bunch of open source projects. Like I recently found out the password manager I use is built with Xamarin Forms, Bitwarden, and it's all open source. So that was fun. I got to go like poke through their source code and see, and like message the guy and was like, hey, I use your thing, you use my thing. Let's talk about them. So that was really fun. So yeah, mature technology. So even though .NET MAUI is new, it's built on this kind of evolution of Xamarin. And if you do have a Xamarin app right now, like most of your code is not going to change. Your UI is not really going to change, your UI code. Maybe some like very custom stuff you've written might have to get updated. And we're getting rid of old APIs that you don't need anymore. So that's good. Getting rid of some tech debt. And yeah, and the project structure and stuff will still work even if you don't want to move to a single project. So you'll be able to keep doing what you're doing. So before I do this demo, I would love to pause and get some questions. And then I will also put up this hilarious GIF. And you can also marvel at my Windows 11 taskbar. What questions do we have right now?
So I don't really see much coming in. I do have a question though.
Yeah.
Let's say hypothetically, a company that I know of is considering starting a new Xamarin application that they don't plan on shipping for 6 to 12 months. Is MAUI something that we could start with, or is there a better path that would lead us to MAUI?
Yeah, you can, at this point, as of today, I would say MAUI is at the point where like you could probably start with it. The biggest holdup with starting a MAUI app right now is that the tooling is like a couple releases behind. So it's a little bit painful compared to Xamarin development. Like hot reload isn't fully working, hot restart doesn't work yet, all these tools. But one thing that I have been working on very much over the past 2 weeks that I don't have a slide for today, but we'll probably have a slide for in a week or so, is the Upgrade Assistant tool. So especially with new apps, it's going to be so straightforward to just take your app from Xamarin Forms 4.8 or 5 or whatever you're on, if it is Forms, and just stick it into MAUI. If you want to do a Xamarin native application for whatever reason, those things just get converted like one-to-one to .NET 6 for Android and iOS. So yeah, definitely feel free to start vetting MAUI. Everything that you can do in Xamarin Forms today, you'll be able to do in MAUI. So it's not like you're going to lose anything, but I would probably stay with Xamarin Forms if you wanted to start it now, just because you can use hot reload, and hot reload's the best. And I don't say that just because I worked on it.
Hot reload is the best. So I could agree with you there. I guess one other question. So we saw the Blazor coming to the desktop. Is there any plans on bringing that to the mobile?
Yeah, I have been asking about that internally, where I'm like, so we have this Blazor desktop thing. What about MAUI web? It's not on the roadmap for .NET 6 because we have so much other stuff. But the way we work is after .NET 6 ships, we take a step back and we're like, okay, what could we have done that would make this even better? Like, let's talk about .NET 7. And when people on the internet are screaming that they want MAUI on the web, that is a pretty good justification for us that we should probably go build it. So the more people we hear saying that they want that, the more likely it is to happen. It's definitely something we're interested in. Like it's not something that we think we can't do or will never do. It's just a matter of prioritizing that over all the other things we might want to work on.
Completely understandable. All right. I think that is all we have for now. So I will silently slip back into the background.
All righty. Before I get into VS, because I'll give you a quick tour of VS 2022 and what that looks like and a MAUI sample app. I just want to show some of the blogs because if you were actually listening to that spiel, now you're probably interested on what shipped this morning. So the first one here is .NET 6 Preview 6. So if you're a .NET developer, which you probably are if you're on this, there's going to be something in here for you. It's a pretty big release. And they split it out into the sub blog posts for very detailed updates on the technologies. So for ASP.NET Core, Identity Framework, and for MAUI. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. Optional workloads is getting better, which is fantastic. There's a big part of that with Maui. But it's the idea that, .NET isn't just one giant multiple gigabyte thing. It's just, you can install it bits and pieces. And my dog just came back in from going out and is now going to have the zoomies like crazy. So sorry in advance. Yeah, bunch of stuff in here. I'm not going to try and explain all of it, but Rich Lander has done that for you, and he's the man. So go check that out. .NET MAUI Preview 6, written by my teammate Dave Ortnell. So this is a huge blog. Definitely take the time to dive into it. I mentioned the optional workloads. So now you can just run .NET workload install Maui. I actually just did that earlier. Let me scroll up in my Windows terminal here. And it installed all the things for me. But yeah, literally workload install Maui. And it just did it. And then Visual Studio started to be nice to me. So that was good. It's very exciting. And the templates, the file new templates, I can actually find out right now if they've worked. We can find this out together as a team. They are in Visual Studio. Visual Studio just hasn't been like showing them. So either in the release that came out this morning or in the next release, they will be there. Let's see if they're here. This is the internal preview build, but it should be synced up with what's going on. And of course, it's going to take forever. Yeah, okay. So it's probably the next build. You'll be able to also do file new from Visual Studio. But for now, you're going to want to do your file new from the command line. So the other thing I just scrolled back here is this tool called Maui Check. One of our team members built it. This is the package name for it. Do I have Zoom It open? Let's see. Zoom It. Control. There we go. I know my hotkeys. Yeah, so Jonathan Dick on our team built this tool called Maui Check. So it's now you just have to do .NET workload install Maui, and that gets most of it. But if you don't have your environment set up for mobile development already, you need things like the Android JDK. You need some other bits. So this will go in and just make sure that everything you need is in there, particularly, especially on Windows for Android, because Android is just a pain to get set up sometimes. And so you can see like I didn't have all of the SDKs I wanted. So it just installed them all for me. So .NET workload install Maui. If you do not do mobile development on the day-to-day, you might want to run Maui Check and see if that finds anything else that you might need to install. And then I can just go like .NET new, let's see what we got here. I think that's the command. It is. And now I have all these things that pop up. I have iOS apps, Mac apps, all the things. So, and then .NET MAUI app is at the top. It used to be in the middle, which is why I was looking for it, because it was Maui app, but now it's .NET MAUI app, and the dot is apparently first in the alphabet. So yeah, short name Maui. And then we have another template for the .NET MAUI Blazor app. So that's the same thing, except it also has like a www root folder. And I think it gives you like a Blazor web view in the homepage instead of the regular app. So yeah, I can just .NET new Maui. There we go. That's it. My templates apparently have an update, so that's exciting. But yeah, and so I'm not going to actually go through the file new project right now because you can do that on your own. What I do want to show is the sample app that David Ortnell and the team has been working on as kind of our like demo app. And that's the one that he uses in this blog. It's called Weather 21. It's very pretty. It's got a lot of weather stuff. And it's all on his GitHub somewhere. Where's the link, Dave? Boop. He must be up here. Our status report. Dave, did he forget to put the link in here? Well, I think I have it. Yeah. David Ortnell, Weather 21. So now I'm going to text him after this and be like, you didn't put the link to the GitHub in your blog post. But I have it up right here. Also, VS 2022, beautiful new Git experience, came out in the end of the 2019 wave, if you haven't noticed it, but so much better than the Team Explorer. I'm sorry, VS team. Love you guys. Yeah, so this is a Maui app. I mean, it's there. Use single project true, use Maui true. This is my project file here for this guy, Weather 21. Let's see if my dependencies have loaded in. And yep, they have, so that's good. And did they load in on Windows as well? No, because I don't have any of the Project Reunion stuff, but that's fine. That's something else you have to install. We're waiting on those like right now. They are going to get them out any minute now. Because you guys can tell we're working very like quickly. We're moving quick right now. It's been a lot of fun, but it's kind of crazy. So yeah, so I'll just put this project file up in the proper area so you can see what it's supposed to look like, not just the CS project. But yeah, we have this new project file thing where you can do your target frameworks as multi-targeting. You can go in and install other frameworks. For Android, you can specify the target OS versions and all that. These are all things that are new, so that's exciting. Resources, packaging, build, debug, all that stuff. For me, it is still easiest to parse all this stuff in the CS proj file. This like GUI is new, and for me, it's still confusing, but it's going to get less confusing, hopefully, or maybe I'm just not paying enough attention to it. But the great thing is like your app ID and version and everything all handled in one place. Your resources, so your image is just a Maui image, Maui splash screen, and Maui font. So if you're a mobile dev, you might know that for a splash screen on Android, you have to go build an XML splash screen or whatever they want. And then on iOS, you have to go build a storyboard, and it's a huge pain. We've made it very simple. You pick a background color and a foreground image, and that's it. You call it a day. Nothing crazy. And likewise with an app icon, you pick a background and a foreground image. We support SVGs now, so you're welcome to just like throw in your vector file and go nuts from there. Don't have to worry about scaling things for different platforms and all that. And yeah, so, and then the same target frameworks, multi-targeting for Android, iOS, and Mac Catalyst here. So the reason that Windows is its own project and that I'm not even going to touch it right now for this demo is because the WinUI team has had this thing called Windows 11 they're dealing with. And so right now they're actually working on all the functionality they need to pull this project basically into the single Maui project where all my code lives. So yeah, it's an MVVM app. In this one, it's got XAML, view models, resources and services and all that stuff. And then we have this platforms folder here. And that's kind of fancy. Let's zoom in. Because this is where I can put platform-specific code for this app. So, Android-specific stuff that it needs to run, like the main application and main activity, which should be going away at some point, but not yet. But also specific resources for Android, like Android needs a styles XML file for like the taskbar and stuff to run. And then likewise with iOS. So if you wanted to put like platform-specific permissions, platform-specific images or something, like if on iOS you wanted to show an apple instead of an Android or whatever in your app, like you can put those in here. And you can also write platform-specific code just as if-defs in your regular area. So we have a startup.cs file now instead of your main activity and your app delegate, which is what you'd have before. And everything is handled here. And you can see we just have if Windows, add the iTray service for WinUI. If Mac Catalyst, add the tray service for Mac Catalyst. That's it. And that is so that when I run this app on Windows, which I can't do because I don't have the project reunion bits because everything updated today and I'm waiting on them, it gives me a little icon in the taskbar down here. It's very nice. So let's see if this is in the mood. I did build and run this before I joined the thing, almost said Teams, the StreamYard, and it worked. But that does not mean it's going to work right now because, like I said, I'm on internal preview and everything is freshly updated like earlier today. It's a bit of a mess. So bear with me. My apologies if this demo isn't the smoothest thing in the world. But I do have this new thing called my framework target framework selector. And so I'm going to try and deploy it to Android because I know I have an Android emulator installed and I don't have my Mac paired or anything. So I can't do iOS or Mac Catalyst right now. We do have the ability in Xamarin. No, I don't want to. Ooh. Okay, I can't find anything. That's fine. We'll close and reopen it. What was I? Oh, so we do have a feature for Xamarin right now that's awesome. That's called Hot Restart, where you can plug in your iPhone straight to your PC and not have to have a Mac or Xcode or anything. on that Mac, and it will build and deploy your app and stick it onto the iPhone for you. If you're someone who's ever tried to do iOS development from Windows, you'll know this is a huge improvement versus opening your Mac and deploying it, or like trying to pair remotely to your Mac from the PC and all this stuff. It's almost working for Maui. Last I asked was like 2 days ago, and they were like, we know what has to be done. We just have to do it now. So that's what I love to hear as a PM, that at least we know the problem. So we'll give this a second to see if these load in, and if not, that's okay. I can pull out my emulator and show you the last version of this through my Android device manager right here. Oh, my new system sounds for Windows 11. They're very friendly beeps. We'll start this up. It's on Android 11, nice and fancy. We'll give that a second as well. Should have started that before this, but did not think of it. And while all these things are thinking, I will make sure that I don't have anything else in my slides that I wanted to share during this demo. We'll talk about this after. Yeah. Okay, great. Let me pull my Android emulator over. Let me pull back up Visual Studio. Boop. Where's my corner handle? Oh my goodness. One thing, I have to go find out who to file this bug on, but with Windows 11, my Android emulator's corner handles have been like teeny. So I can't figure out, like, I can't minimize it with any semblance of like ease. So that's been fun. But Windows 11, all in all, it's been pretty good. I have to say, I'm pleasantly surprised with it. I was worried. So yeah, this is the currently crashed version of the one I showed in the slides. It's kind of like our .NET MAUI sample. And I'll just kill all of these so that we can reopen them. Boop. But this is the Weather 21 app. This is the icon here. So like we saw in the CS proj file, it is a background image, which is probably just this like little black square circle, whatever shape the operating system wants icons to be. And then this foreground image, which is just these cute little clouds. So I'll click on it, give it a sec. It's going to start up. It's going to be thinking. We have been changing the way that I could get into like the technical details of like how we're improving performance and stuff, but it's a little over my head, to be honest, even though I pretend to understand it, and it's not that interesting. So go read Dave's blog posts about it, or go watch like one of the deep dives from Build or something. I'm not going to do that on this stream, but it is faster. It's more performance. Startup is a little bit better. Assembly, registration, and like initialization stuff is a lot snappier. So you should see performance gains. But yeah, this is the app, and it's all built with that one shared code base. There's no custom UI here. It's all XAML and images. And then I have my tabs across the bottom here. It's using Xamarin Forms, just kind of like the built-in navigation stack, which we call Shell, but you don't necessarily have to like, let me see if I can find the shell in here. Boop. Yeah, views. I don't know where this has changed since I last saw it. Oh, that's because I just pulled it because I got updated today for .NET 6. But yeah, this is the app. It's wonderful. And then of course, if I was to run this on desktop, which I'll see if I still have it installed, but I don't think I do because I do. Haha. Let's see if this opens. Oh, this isn't Weather 21. This is the other app. This is the sample app. I do have the old WinUI version of this, so I will pull up boop, this one, Maui app test probably. You can see I've been testing a lot because my apps are like app 1, app 2, app 3, app test, app whatever. But yeah, this is the same app as a different sample app, but similar. Running with WinUI on Windows 11. Ooh, and then running on Android here. And it's all shared code as well. So super exciting. It's really getting there. Like Weather 21 is beautiful. I'll pull that back up. You know, this is more akin to what you would see a real app actually look like than something like this, which is, you know, kind of basic. It's calling an API. It's using this windy.com wind map. Like this is doing the things you need it to do. And so we're really excited about kind of where we've come with Maui. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. So, okay. So Brian, you're back. So I guess that means there's probably questions.
We do have a couple of questions. So
yay, good.
Hey, can I ship the weather app and use it personally. No, I'm joking. All right, so go ahead and bring one up, Jeremy. Let's see. Are there any advantages to using Blazor in Maui compared to using another web framework like React? For clarification, I believe they do mean versus rendering React from Maui. So is that a thing or option or?
I have not seen anyone do that yet. I would not be surprised if it worked, but I think like, and I say this, I get a lot of questions kind of as a Xamarin PM, like what cross-platform mobile framework do I use in my company? If you're a .NET shop and you like .NET and you hire for .NET, or, you know, you have people who can teach new hires .NET, stick with .NET, right? If you're a JavaScript shop, you'll probably have a better time with React because it's JavaScript. It really depends kind of on, like, you know, the existing knowledge and all that. I think I personally like Blazor because I think Razor is awesome. I thought XAML was like sickening when I started on this team. I was like, who uses this? And I've grown to love it. I'd say it's a love-hate relationship. But I, for a while, called Blazor code FrankenXAML, and I've actually grown to really like it. And my fiance works on explicitly React stuff and JSX and all that. And sometimes I'll be like, you know, like Blazor is actually a lot better looking than that. So whatever. But it's a personal preference, right? I mean,
that's an interesting household. You
yeah.
one of those house divided things.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, so we do have another one. Do you need the WinUI project to run on Windows?
As of today, yes. As of the near future, and definitely GA, no. It's just because we haven't quite folded everything in properly yet. It is like the last step to single projectify.
Sounds good. All right. Well, I think that is all I have. So I will again disappear.
Sweet. All right. I only have a couple slides left. This is, as I said, things are out today. Oh, this is still the preview 4 blog post. It's preview 6, I promise. We do have a bunch of ecosystem vendors. I mean, .NET has an amazing ecosystem. You might have heard of like Progress Telerik, Prism. If you do MVVM, you probably know what Prism is or have heard of it. UX Divers, GrileKit, Infragistics, all these things. So we've been working with these control vendors to get them ready to roll for .NET 6. If you are someone who has an ecosystem, whether it's an open source or a paid for project, and you're kind of worried about getting your users ready for Maui, you know, if you maintain a framework or a library or anything, definitely reach out. You can at me on Twitter, because we want to make sure that we're supporting our ecosystem for this transition. But it really is not going to be too crazy. As far as people have said, these folks here, it wasn't that bad. Things are working. So that's really good. It depending on like kind of where in the stack your framework or tool or whatever lies, it's going to be a little bit different of a process, but we're here to help and we want to make sure that everybody's successful with it. Yeah. Where is all this happening? On GitHub, open source, of course, because we're the best. Really, we've fully moved out of the Xamarin Forms GitHub now, which is exciting. It's kind of sad because we, didn't really get to keep all of our stars and stuff, but it's also nice because it's kind of like spring cleaning, like get a fresh start. And things are in Maui now. So that, definitely go follow along there. We have a very up-to-date status tracker. So if I go to .NET MAUI, Dave updates this thing. Where is it? David, where did you put it? Progress report. Nope, that's a live stream. I don't know where he put it. Again, because of today, 7 hours ago, everything has changed. There's a progress report in here somewhere, and so help me, I will find it. Oh, this is the samples repository. That's not what I wanted. I wanted this. Docs, samples, announcing. Maybe he hasn't pushed it up yet. Another thing I'll text him about. But he does maintain a status report up here that literally says like everything, what is up working today, what's planned, what's not planned, and all that. And we also have GitHub discussions. So this is a really good place to kind of ask questions that don't really fit for an issue or something. and discuss with the team and kind of see like what they're working on as we go. And of course, we have issues and pull requests and all that stuff too. So check this out. Maybe it'll like miraculously pop up. Let's see if it's in the docs. Boop, boop, boop. No, it looks like it's not in the docs yet either. Okay, it'll be up soon. Like I said, it's release day. I sat at my desk to update all my slides at 4:00 Eastern time. So not an hour and a half before the stock, I promise. But, things have continued to change and update since then. So you're really getting the cutting edge stuff. This is also great because he's put a bunch of links to different blogs and live streams and all that. So if you want to kind of go look at those things, you can do that too. And the FAQ is really helpful. So yeah. Okay. Oh, .NET MAUI status. Why is this so hidden? Why is this? This is exactly what I was looking for. And it was last edited yesterday. But yeah, you can see it's like things that are done, things that are, we're worried about not getting in, things that are almost done, all that stuff. So .NET MAUI wiki status is where you want to go. And finally, we also have a Discord. So you can go and talk kind of architecture and stuff with the team there if you want to. It's not so much for like questions about like, how do I do this in MAUI? It's more like architecture and like, what is MAUI going to do to handle XYZ? But we're developing it out in the open, so you're welcome to go in and watch. And the first Thursday of every month, Dave, Ordino, and I, and a special guest, someone usually from the team or the community, will live stream for about an hour. And we do kind of community news and contributions and a status report on MAUI and whatever our special feature of the month is. So, okay, let's see. Great. Just over 45 minutes. I'm glad I didn't like blow through that. I am totally around for questions. And if you don't have a question right now, but think of one later, my email's right here. My Twitter's right here. And this is my handle on all the things. So feel free to go find me and bother me, and we can definitely chat more.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Let's see if we have any questions in the chat. I actually got texted a question. So
oh, nice.
Yeah, they're all the way. Look, however you want to get in touch with us, we're happy to do that. So let's see. Can you ask about MAUI and MVU model view update?
Great question. Yeah. So if you are someone who has seen MAUI MVU demos, you saw the Comet project, which is currently still living in James Clancy's GitHub. I think it's Clancy. Let's see. Oh, nope. He moved it. It's in .NET. So this is an experiment. So Comet is not something that we're shipping GA in .NET 6. But the concept is that you can use MAUI, MAUI control namespaces and target platforms and all that, but in an MVU style to build your mobile and desktop apps using things like using Visual Code and Visual Studio Code and all that. So this is more if you're a web dev, you're probably more familiar with this kind of stuff. It's wonderful. It is a proof of concept and an experiment. So this is another one of those things. If you were here at the beginning of the stream, we talked a little bit about like, will MAUI ever target web? It's one of those things that we want to make official, but we kind of need people to tell us that we should continue to do it. And it's just another thing that we want to prioritize over other stuff. But Comet is great. It does have an extension in VS Code. So if you want to do mobile development in VS Code, that is a pretty good way to do it. It's got a wiki that you can kind of go through. You can see this guy riding a sheep, as we call it. You're riding the comet, the blazing comet, if you're using Blazor. But yeah, you're more than welcome to go check this out and see a little bit what we're doing and leave your feedback and let us know if you really want it. Because if you do, we're more likely to kind of pull into the official stack.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I think that's all the questions we have. So we dropped a ton of links in the chat. Be sure to check all of them out. So I think we got everything you mentioned.
Cool.
I will yell at the people helping. No, I'm joking.
No, it's fine. The two Jeremys did great. Both of you.
I don't know. I usually mess things up. Anyway, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Thanks to the two Jeremys for hanging out and posting links and doing all the transitions and everything so that I don't have to. Thanks for all the people who tuned in to watch. I really appreciate it. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here doing this. So I guess stay tuned. Next month, I've been really dropping the ball. It's probably going to be me unless somebody else wants to volunteer. So we'll talk about something, but be sure to check us out next month, and I'll let you know whenever our Sunday streams start back up. Maddy, would you like to say anything before you go, or?
No, thank you so much for having me, and try stuff out and let us know what you think. And we're happy to hear your feedback.
Sounds good. All right, Jeremy, you can turn it off now.
Sweet.